What's up, F3 Nation? It's your boy Scratch and Win, Executive Director here, bringing you an update about the Accelerate campaign running October 1st through the 31st. Accelerate provides an opportunity for the packs to make a gift to F3 so we can continue to give it away. This year, we're making some new investments, like Region in a Box, a national attraction campaign, and Lead Weekends. All of these are designed to plant more shovel flags and unlock more men. For more information and to make your gift, visit f3nation.com or text the word F3 Accelerate to 53555. Thanks for your generosity, and we'll see you in the glory.
Welcome to the High Impact Man podcast. High impact men from across the nation sharing their stories of inspiration, encouragement, and hope.
Gosh, seek transformational relationships.
Now, what you're hearing from the culture is not right. Pick up the six, you know what I mean? But you never know who your six sometimes is.
Stop being less.
To help others become the virtuous leaders they're called to be and that our nation desperately needs.
Liftoff. All right, we're going again for another episode of the High Impact Man podcast. This is Nevin Gorky. The guys in F3, y'all know me as D-Fib. I'm joined as always by Troy Klinger. He's known as Dial-Up. You know him, you love him. And we have our guest today, Brian Kersey. His F3 name is Tigger. He comes recommended by, it was Funny Car, wasn't it, that recommended you?
Yeah, it was Funny Car, yeah.
Another recommendation by Funny Car. We love you, Funny. Keep them coming. But before we get into Tigger's story, just real quick, we got some exciting things going on at the F3 Susquehanna Valley because we have been trying to expand our region ever since we started this thing, really, for almost 4.5 years ago. And we're finally expanding out of Little Danville, Pennsylvania, into a town to the south, right? Tomorrow is the inaugural shovel plant at the new AO southwest in a place called Northumberland. Right,
River Rats.
River Rats AO.
River Rats AO, yeah.
Right along the Susquehanna River.
Shikellamy State Park. Or Shikellamy. Shikellamy. If you pronounce it like it
last
looks,
episode's guest, Wonder Pickle, the man with the greatest F3 name ever, he is on fire, man. He started, about a month and a half ago he first attended?
Yeah.
And he's already planting another AO down by where he lives. And
not to mention any names, but Beach Ball's been coming for 3 years, and I've been trying to get him to plant a shovel flag in Nori since he lives up in that neck of the woods, and he never did. So thank you for Wonder Pickle for picking up the slack that and the burden that Beach Ball was unwilling to carry.
Yes, absolutely.
We still love you, though, Beach Ball.
I hope he's not watching this one.
He's an avid
will.
listener, so I had to throw that out there.
Good.
We'll find out what time he listens to the podcast because we'll get a text from him as soon as he hears it.
Right. I'm sure he'll support that AO as much as he can, although he has to be at work kind of early. Although Wonder Pickle is flexible on the start time. He might move it earlier if he has to, but we'll see how things go tomorrow. Yeah. And he's asked me to cue the first beatdown down there, so pray for D-Fib as I hopefully we're going to get a number of FNGs, it looks like, from down there. So we're going to have a lot of new guys to F3. And we're going to get them rolling down there, get them working out hard and starting to develop some fellowship down there.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, Tigger, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Where are you coming to us from? North Carolina?
I am in beautiful Carrollton, Virginia.
Carrollton, Virginia.
It's in between Newport News, James River Bridge. I live at the James River Bridge. So in between Newport News and Chesapeake.
Gotcha.
Tidewater area, Hampton Road.
All right, did you guys get hit with the hurricane?
We did not. We got some rain. That was about it. But a lot of people in the western part of the state got hit pretty hard. North Carolina got hit really hard, of course. But
there are places that are just absolutely devastated. I don't know, Tigger, if you've ever heard of, if you've ever participated in the Blue Ridge Relay, but was it his son that ran? Your son ran.
Yeah, I didn't know it till afterwards. His his son ran the. Yeah, his son ran the mountain goat leg with the switchbacks and was
the one with the switchbacks
in my vicinity. Yeah, he and myself and another guy, we were passing each other back and forth the whole way up the stinking thing. And I just noticed on his Strava, we started following each other on Strava, and I noticed that he was running in the Chesapeake area. And I pinged Funny Car. I said, "Hey, is this guy one of your packs?" And he said, "Yeah, it's actually Tigger's son." So it's kind of cool.
There you go.
Yeah, he's the one who got me going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, a lot of those towns that we run through were just devastated. Blowing Rock.
So that whole trail is gone.
Wow.
The whole trail where y'all were up there is gone.
Yeah.
They said yesterday at the beat thing.
Yeah,
really
the
Riverside
Restaurant was up 2/3 of the way up, covered in water. Exchange zone 30, I think it is 31. Well, where the Mountain Goat Switchback starts, where they do the pancake breakfast. The little town that's right there. The church was just, there's like a bus up against the church and just debris everywhere. It looks like
At the church where everybody slept. A lot of people slept on steps at some church.
Could have been.
I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, there's something about the churches down south that we noticed that this year. We hadn't noticed it in the past, but they carpet. They put carpet on their steps outside, like on the entryways to their churches. That's must be a thing down there. I don't think we do that up here.
It must be all weather.
Do that here. We don't do that here.
Must be a southern
Rolling
thing.
out the red carpet.
I guess.
Walking in there.
That's it.
Makes it more comfy for sleeping on it, though.
No question.
Yeah,
I could have used that a couple of years ago. Anyway, those towns are devastated, and we don't even know the toll yet. And so obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to all those folks. And if anybody out there thinks so we could help in any way at the High Impact Man podcast or F3 in general, please just let us know, get a hold of us. But anyway, pretty sad news. But I'm glad you're okay there in Carlton, Virginia, brother. So now we're going to move into the part of the show where Dial-Up and I guess how our F3 guest got his name. And I got this one, Dial-Up. I got it.
That's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm just going, Tigger had stripes, and he's a referee, so.
That's what I was going with.
Biglet's my son. So he was F3 before I was.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out there in Marvel, and Funny Car and those guys said Tigger because of Piglet and me being a former referee. And I'm not going to argue with them because it was the first time I was out there. They could all hand me all their cinder blocks and make me carry them to the car. Yeah. First time I went, I had to take a coupon. So it was what it was.
Could have been much worse, man. We just named somebody Love Shack today.
Oh.
The last FNG got named Wonder Pickle, so.
Yeah, I heard that. I just heard that name.
Greatest F3 name ever.
I'll take Tigger.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tigger's a wonderful name.
Absolutely.
All right. So tell us your F3 origin story. Like, when did you get involved? Who EH'd you?
So I spoke at a Funny Car had me speak at a Rotary Club for them probably 2 years ago. I went and spoke, talked to him a little bit. He really didn't talk about F3 at all. And then we follow each other on a couple of social media, business sites, and I saw he did F3, and my son was Piglet, and he was looking for some different workouts. So I told him about it, and he went to it, and he got, he loved it right away. When you're 36, you can run for days and lift everybody over your head. So he went, and then I just turned 61 in November. When I turned 61, Piglet gave me a weighted vest and a coupon for that was my birthday present from my son.
Nice.
And,
did he paint the coupon?
I painted it after he gave it. He gave me I think it's the heaviest one they make.
Okay.
I painted it lime green and have a black F3 stencil on one end and a black Tigger stencil on the other. So nobody can mistake mine. So I started going. I just did my 50th yesterday. Yesterday was my 50th, so I got to carry the log around. And, the guys, I told them they should have named me 6 because they always say don't forget to pick up the 6 at the end. Yeah. But I have a bad right knee from all the years run up and down the floor, but they're great. All of them, they all go through, and Funny Car and I are usually the oldest two there, of course. We're both the same age, and you just get to the point where you see what guys that you don't know can do for you. And it's not just the workout part. It's not just the workout part. It's, you don't know how deep F3 is until you get into it. And I watched the video on Cardinal yesterday. The video just came out on Cardinal yesterday.
That was touching.
And you don't know the outreach that they have, that this group has. We had they have outings, they have parties, they have, cafeterias and all that other stuff, and you don't realize that, they're getting ready to roll wheelbarrows of oysters at the end of the month at an oyster roast, and you don't realize it until you get in with, you start listening to them. And when I first got there, I was raw. I mean, I was You know, I've worked out, but it was like on a bike and all that. And the day after I worked out with Coupon, I didn't know what we were going to do. We end up, we work out here. It's 0.8 of a mile from my house, so it's perfect. It's a parking lot of a strip mall. It's the only strip mall in Carrollton. It's the only thing that we have. Food Line is in there, and you go around the building. You go back and forth in the front of it. You do bear crawls. You do Merkins. You do Freddie Mercury's, and then I tried to wake up the next day, and I did. So I saw that, wasn't going to let them beat me down too bad, but, you just see that they don't care what you can do. They don't care if you can do 10 Merkins or if you can do 50 squats. They're just there for you, and it's amazing to watch. And, like I said, a lot of them are younger than me. Don't get me wrong. So it's a competition thing for me that I know I can't win, but you still don't want to let them know you're hurting.
Yeah.
But because back in the day, when I was refereeing, I've been off the floor since 2016. I retired from on the floor in 16 and took this job that I have now as supervisor officials, for 16, 17. And it's just amazing to watch some of these men just lift you up. And I've been to some convergences with, the ladies, and have seen how that works. And, my son came out and was the surprise cue for my 50th. So, yeah,
nice.
I think he tried. I don't think he wanted me to get to 62. I don't think he wanted me to get me anything for my 62nd birthday.
Tried to kill you.
These men are amazing, and I've watched a couple of y'all's podcasts. I've watched some other stuff on here, and the thing on Cardinal hit hard yesterday. But nobody cares where you've been or where you're going after you leave there. They just care about you when you're there, and then they check on you all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. As they said in the book that Dred and OBT wrote called Free to Lead, they call the workout the magnet. That's what kind of attracts guys initially. But the fellowship is the glue. That's what keeps guys coming back, and that's 100%. What you're describing there. Yeah, 100%. And then, of course, the third F ends up being the dynamite. When guys get together doing hard things and they develop those bonds of fellowship, we want to do things. We want to get kinetic. We want to help, and that's what you're describing, I think, and all those things. And it helps us find purpose. We talked about that today, and our beatdown on Wednesdays is a 30 for 30. We stole that from Katy, Texas. So we do a 30-minute beatdown, and then we do it, almost, not quite 30 minutes, but we do a discussion afterwards right on site. And the cue today was Jiggy. He put out the question, what's your ultimate life purpose, and what's holding you back, if anything, from accomplishing it. But one thing F3 does is help guys to find purpose, right?
Oh, no question. I mean, it changed a lot of people that are in there. You can tell. The workout draws them in, but you sit there and listen to them talk about their families and talk about each other, and playing golf with each other and all that other stuff. It just, like I said, I'm fortunate to have a great group of guys that come up here. I've been to one of my sons out on the beach. We had like 40 people out there. We usually get like 12, 13 people here. So, I mean, and some new people come, and, we got one guy, Catapult, that's got like 78, 80 in a row, 80 straight days in a row. I can't, I try, like I'm going out of town tomorrow. I had to go down towards Charlotte today and then come back, and I've got to go to Philadelphia tomorrow. So I can't go all the time, but like I said, they don't care. They just welcome you when you come back as if you just left them.
Yeah, but you could post downrange. You could find, that's one of the beauties of F3 is.
I posted once downrange in Charlotte, actually in Charlotte, where it all began, I guess, and met the Grand Poobah and all that other stuff, and had a great time. And it was a ruck, which was great for me because I was still early in it. It was, I got in it in like November, and this was like end of November, right around Thanksgiving. I was down because my office is actually in Charlotte, so I actually went down there, and of course, Funny Car set me up to go over there, and went over there, and again, open arms, just walking up. Didn't know it. You remember as a kid, you grow up and you go out and you see a group of people that you don't know, and you kind of stay back. Right. You don't have to do that here. They get to you before you even think about doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great brotherhood.
And it's almost the same. I mean, it's the same sort of vibe, the same lingo, the same culture. At least everywhere I've gone and dial-up's gone. So it's something that we share.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, it's a real community. So that's cool. That's cool, man. So let's start from the beginning then. Tell us what life was like for little Tigger. Where'd you grow up? What was that like?
Grew up in Newport News, Virginia, right here. It's just on the other side of the James River Bridge from where I live now. Lived there forever. I was fortunate. My dad was a basketball referee, started back in the old ABA, which some of the double respect and triple respect guys will understand on here. Red, white, and blue ball, Dr. J, when he was Julius Irvin. I was a ball boy for the Virginia Squires when I was a kid, when they played right here at the Hampton Coliseum. And then my dad got in the NBA, in the mid-'70s, and life kind of just went in fast forward at that moment. You live NBA life. We all know what the NBA is now, but back then, my dad worked all the finals, when Jordan and Bird and Magic and all those guys were playing. So I was a very proud son. And, I started doing it and got to eat up with it. First game I worked was actually 2 Christian schools, and the losing coach jumped me at the end of the game and hit me in the back of the head. Took me out. Yeah, it was great.
There you go.
That was where the fellowship really started.
Welcome to officiating. Yeah.
I was in the 10th grade, and we were at a small college here, Christopher Newport, and I was working the game, and he hit me from behind, and that's when you really want to do it. So I just kept going, and I got very fortunate. Spent 27 years in the ACC, and loved working there. I grew up watching the ACC.
Right. When did you start in the ACC?
1990.
1990. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we went on, I told you I played basketball in high school. I could have played Division III in college, but I ended up breaking my foot. But anyway, I wasn't great, obviously. So, but I remember had to be like 1980 or so, whenever ESPN first started. It started in 80, 81, something like that. And they used to show a lot of college basketball. And at the time, they started showing a lot of North Carolina because they were really good. Sure. And so I've been a Tar Heel fan since then. Although I'll root for, if Penn State ever actually was good enough, I'd root for them. But they can't quite get there. So I root for North Carolina and Villanova. I'll root for Villanova. But the Tar Heels are my team because I got to watch them twice a week. I think it was it Tuesday nights or whatever night the ACC was on.
Wednesday and Saturday. Sail with the pilot with Jefferson Pilot. Yeah.
Wednesday and Saturday.
Had to go on the boat in a rainstorm and all of that for the commercial.
Yeah.
It was, I was drawn to it as well when I started. I never really thought about going to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, I've been married now 40 years, and I had 2 kids 8 years apart. Yeah, not many people say that these days.
Yeah.
But don't tell her. But she lives a great life. No, I'm just kidding. She keeps me straight, keeps me grounded. It's wonderful. We're empty nesters now. We just got a new puppy 10 days ago, so I've got blood all over each arm and my hands. But
those little teeth are like little needles.
And 100%. I was lucky enough to work the Final Four in 2015 in Indianapolis, and that's like
2015. Hold on. I'll never get it. Who was there?
I had Duke, Michigan State, and Wisconsin played Kentucky.
So all right, was that a Duke win? Yeah. So let me back up just a little bit. Did you play sports? Did you play basketball in high school?
Played basketball in high school. Played tennis, for a little while, but some people have dads that are doctors and they want to be a doctor or a lawyer. Mine was a referee. I looked at it as, man, he only really works 2 hours a day, and you get to go to really good cities, and get on. You always, back then there was like 1 or 2 NBA games on a week, so you didn't get to see them. Now, they're on every night. College games, 5 or 6 games a night, and
one thing I was going to ask. So like when your dad was, when he was refereeing these NBA games, like was that his only job, or did he have to do something else to support himself?
That was it. Yeah.
I think that the NFL referees had to have a job back then because they only had, 14 games a year back in like the 80s, and then 16. So they had to have, and most of them had good jobs. They were like, presidents of banks and things like that. But, and anyway, the basketball, they got enough games they could make a living out of it, I guess. So your dad's name was Jess Kersey. For those that don't know, he was a pretty well-known NBA ref. Did it for a long time, like you said, and obviously was well respected. Now you can answer this if you want, or you could decline. But being a Tar Heel fan, I was a Michael Jordan fan from the time he was a freshman at Carolina. And actually, one of the guys I played against, a rival at our high school, Dave Popson, ended up going to North Carolina.
Yes, he did.
I was already a Tar Heel fan, and he was probably 3 years behind Jordan or 4, something like that. But anyway, I knew about Michael Jordan when he was a freshman before he hit the shot against Georgetown. I knew how great this guy was because we're all into back then. It's crazy. You can answer this too, but it seemed like there was like maybe 1 or 2 guys, throughout all the college teams that could really jump and dunk. Now everybody can. Everybody can.
Everybody can do whatever they want up by the rim.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
But back then, there was like maybe 1 or 2 guys, right?
Absolutely.
That could
absolutely.
really. Yeah. So, and Jordan was obviously one of those guys.
Absolutely, one of them.
And when he got to the NBA, when he became, a superstar, I swear to God, that guy didn't even get close to touched, and they're calling fouls on him when he missed shots. And so, I'm sure your dad wasn't one of them, but is there some kind of leeway for the superstars?
This is what I would tell you. I have found it in the job that I have now because I have 6 TVs in my office. I have a center in the ACC office that has like 16.
Yeah.
So I have not missed a call since I have watched them on TV. And I just think that, games are fast. I mean, games are amazingly fast.
Yeah.
And angles are everything. So the angles of TV can slow it down. They can do anything they want to. We didn't get the opportunity to slow it down, which in my opinion, makes it a great sport and great sport to referee because it's fast paced. But I don't. Yeah. I argue with my dad a lot on some plays that he had when he was refereeing the NBA back then, and but now with TV the way it is now, these guys have to. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, NBA. Yeah. I went in the NBA replay center just to see what it was like, and it's amazing the technology that they have and the knowledge that they have. The NBA, replay center is like nothing I've ever been in. The ACC ops center that we have is like nothing. There's not one man in the world that would not like to watch TV in either one of those places every single night.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about replay? I mean, has it helped or hurt the game?
Well, a lot of things evolved to get to this point. You have, teams getting, we only have 68 teams in the NCAA tournament, and number 69 or 70 always goes back to a game they lost in November. I think it allows referees to get the plays right because they are not correct on every whistle that they have. A lot of things happen with noise and you can't hear horns because horns are different, and clocks stop and you don't pick it up, and then it allows you to get that fixed. So I think it allows us to fix what we may have missed. And so I think for that, it's good for the game. I think that there's a lot of outside variables, that come in to all of this, because we all know that FanDuels and all that other stuff is still out there. And, so I think it allows them to get it correct, and it gets, the naysayers off of them. Now, fortunately, we have 8 angles. We got to replay. They're looking at 8 different angles.
Now, does that depend on the game?
No, ACC has 8 angles. Most arenas, most leagues have 4, or sometimes 6. If the game's on ESPN, you're going to get at least 8, and you're going to get some stuff thrown in for them to come look at. The good thing about my job is I can prove a referee right or I can prove a referee wrong anytime because I get all 8 of those angles. So I can show them, this angle where they think they got it right. The TV feed may show they got it right, and you get that camera that's underneath the basket, and they have no idea. They had no idea any of that happened because they've got a different angle.
Sure.
So I just think it all changes.
As the same replays that we see on television, is that do the replay officials have more?
Oh yeah, we have more than what they show, but TV can also have some stuff that we don't have, and they can filter it into the system that we go look at. And I just think it just, like I said, replay. Whoever wanted to advertise should just put something right across the butt of a referee, because they're going to be at the replay table 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But again, these guys are perfectionists, and we expect them to be perfect, knowing that that's unattainable. But that's what we expect, and we want them to be sure, especially timing stuff like that. And it's just, it slows the game down. Yes, games are still 2 hours. Whether or not they go look or not, it's going to last 2 hours.
Yeah, I dial up. I don't know if you caught that or not a little while ago, but I think Tigger just called me an armchair referee, but I'm okay with that. Totally okay with that.
You're not the only one. I guarantee you won't be the only one on this that's watching this podcast that's armchair referee.
Easy to referee from the bleachers, brother.
So
easy.
I'm telling you, I've found it to be so simple. Yeah. I don't know how they miss plays from where I'm sitting.
How do they miss it?
How they miss them. Exactly.
Well, now there's one pet peeve I have. What do you think it is? That's a terrible question.
Like I was gonna say that's really.
You don't like the shirts?
No. I don't even know what shirt you wear. But
I know what it is. If a foul was a foul earlier in the game, it's a foul at the end of the game. Is that it?
That's your pet peeve.
Yeah.
That's your pet peeve. No, mine is the traveling. Can you please tell them to call traveling? I mean, it's driving me crazy. The NBA is the worst.
They do in college ball pretty well.
Well, college still kind of, so I watched the SportsCenter top 10 this morning, right? Top 10 plays. And the WNBA are in the playoffs, and I don't remember what team, I don't remember what player, but she literally picked up the ball, stood there for a couple seconds, and then she took 2 big steps to the basket, laid it in, and they didn't call it, and it's in big SportsCenter top 10. You get it in continuity though, don't you? You can't stand there for 3 seconds and then take 2 steps, can you?
You get 2 steps regardless of when you take them.
So like 30 minutes later, I can take 2 steps.
See, D-Fib, you're complaining about the refs. You don't even know the game.
I'm gonna send you a rule book.
Okay.
And I'm gonna call you in a week, and I'm gonna say, did you figure this book out yet?
All right. Just send me the traveling section. I could tell you 100% if I did that in high school, I'd be called for a travel. I've already established.
We don't wear Chuck Taylors anymore.
and shorty shorts.
That's right. We don't wear shorty shorts and high top Chuck Taylors.
I have pictures on my phone of D-Fib playing basketball back in the day. It's a scary.
Wow.
It's a scary sight.
Wow.
Yeah, I did wear the shorty shorts, but the high tops were in elementary school. By the time I got to high school, we had some leather Converse.
Oh, that's good.
Dr. J was promoting those, and Adidas. We had Adidas too. The old shell toes. I love the old Adidas shell toes.
Oh, shell toes, yeah.
Yeah, man.
They tried to make a comeback.
I know. I bought them. Like, boy, what was it, like 2000 or something like that? Yeah. I found a pair. Anyway.
We blame COVID for that too. We blame COVID for taking out the shell toes.
I know. Man, bring back the shell toes. They were nice. Run DMC made them really famous.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, okay, you get 2 steps, but you don't get 3. Patrick Ewing was taking 3 steps every time we went across the lane in the 80s.
12. He's huge.
He went from one end of the court to the other with 3 steps, and he never got called. All right.
Do you find so you progressed? So you started like high school ball?
Yeah, started
to college ball, right?
I actually started with we call it the Mite League here in Virginia. We call them ankle biters too. It's like 6 and 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Through the rec department. And my wife used to go with me on Saturday, and you'd work like 5 games, 8-foot rims.
Yeah.
Total score for the entire day was like 22-20. In 5 games, 5 different games. I started doing that, and then middle school, and then high school here. When I was refereeing high school ball was when Iverson, Allen Iverson's from here.
Yeah.
Tony Rutland, who played at Wake Forest, is from here. So Damon Bako, who played at Richmond and then Alabama. J.R. Reed's here. Boo Williams Summer League is here when it started. Boo Williams is a huge travel, AAU group, Nike group. And, when they first started the Boo Williams teams, they played outdoors, in Hampton. And it would be slam packed with people out there. I mean, it would be so many people out there watching it. And they're playing basically on tennis court surface, with really nice baskets at the ends. And it was so much fun. And the athletes that come out of this area have been phenomenal. J.R. Reed, of course, played at Carolina. Alonzo Mourning's from here.
Yeah.
Played at Georgetown. The Upton brothers, baseball brothers, are from here. Michael Kadire, Wright, David Wright. It's some great athletes come from down here. So that competition's always there.
Yeah.
Did you find as you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Did you find as you progressed through the higher levels of basketball? Obviously the game gets quicker, but did you find that it was actually easier to referee as the players become more skilled?
Absolutely.
I always thought that was probably the case.
You don't have people diving all over the floor all the time. You don't have air balls. You don't have everybody going to the rim at one time trying to beat each other up.
Yeah.
It's just
you don't have to worry about the NBA anymore. Nobody goes to the rim in the NBA. They're all standing out the 3-point line. That's a fact.
I'm telling you, you're a very positive human being when it comes to rules. And
well, listen, I have facts on this. Okay, and multiple times I literally watched and counted how many times each possession a team had at least one person go for an offensive rebound, and multiple times it's like 18, 20 possessions before anybody even tries to get an offensive rebound. It's just the way the game is today, right? Everyone stands around the 3-point line and. They're just not going for offensive rebounds.
Well, Wimbayama's pretty, he's 7 foot tall. He makes a lot of shots in the paint. There's a lot of
I'm not saying
a lot of shots in the paint.
He's going to
That's okay, though.
I don't know what basketball you're watching, D-Fib.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
You're watching too much. You're watching too much WNBA and the Fever.
I challenge both you guys and all the listeners.
Are you on the Caitlin Clark bandwagon, brother? Is that what's going on here?
I don't watch the WNBA. I don't know. I hope the best for all of them. But watch an NBA game this year and count how many possessions to see how many guys go for an offensive rebound.
Well, a lot of people have doubles and rebounds.
Yeah, the guards, because there's nobody. Well, that's because they get all defensive rebounds because nobody's going for offensive rebounds.
I'll have to bring that up.
Check it out, man. Okay. I feel like this is a presidential debate. I'm being fact checked. Hey, we said no fact checking.
Well, you said you had facts.
I'm gonna mute your mic here. Where's the button to mute your mic? There it is. I can.
All right.
He's muted now.
My time is up.
Yeah.
So you retired in, you said 2016, right?
16. Yeah.
Were you about 53 then?
53. This job, there's only 4 of me in the country. 4, there's ACC, SEC, Big 12, and Big 10 right now are the Power 4 leagues. When I came off the floor, Pac-12 was there, and they're coming back. When I came off the floor, there's only 5 in the country that have a Power 5 job or Power 4 job.
Right.
So they don't come around every day. And I was healthy. Yeah. I probably would have refereed 3 or 4 more years, maybe 5 at the most, and then died off into the sunset and, never hear from me again. But, they asked if I was interested, Commissioner John Swafford, and asked if I was interested, and my peers asked if I was interested. My boss now is a guy named Paul Brazo, who's tremendous to work for, and he asked if I was interested. So I investigated, talked to my dad. My dad was battling cancer at the time. When I got the Final Four, he went to the Final Four with me. He was just started his chemo treatments a couple months prior to that. Yeah. So I could buy him smaller hats and all that other stuff because he didn't have to worry about the hair getting in the way while he was at the game. So I bounced a lot off of him to see what he thought. Mm-hmm. And he's the same way. These jobs don't come open very often. Right. So when they offered it, I said yes and retired. And the last game I worked was out in California in Sweet 16. Oregon beat Duke, actually, mm-hmm. and that was it. I didn't realize it then that was it. I had a pretty good idea I was going to, get this job, and it was a great way to go out. It's the NCAA tournament's amazing. To be a part of it. I was a part of it for 20 plus years, and it's a lot of fun. It's some people get up every day and got to be at work at 9. I get on I used to get on a plane, fly somewhere, go to work at 7, be done at 9, and then and everything's on TV. It was tremendous. Great way to bring up my kids.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked about your age is because I imagine you got to be in pretty good condition to get up and down the court.
I was.
It was not. I think it was no. When you started, were there 3 refs on the court and it expanded to 4?
No, we only have 3.
Only 3? Okay.
We only have 3.
Yeah, so you got to be in pretty good shape to run up and down the court multiple times a week. How many times a week were you refereeing?
3 or 4, probably at the time. 3 or 4.
Were you doing anything outside the games to stay in condition?
Yeah. I mean, I had, when I was making the runs of working a lot of games, I ran 2 half marathons, to get ready. We're fortunate to have some nature trails here through a Mariners Museum that we could get through, and so I did those, and I had a key to the inside of a tennis bubble. It had 2 courts in it, so I'd go in there with a big old boom box and run lines basically, and jumped a lot of rope, which all of the I've cued a couple beat downs here, and I bring jump ropes up there, and so they now know. Piglet brought a jump rope. That was one of the stations we did because he heard that I liked using them. So I did all of that stuff. Got up really, really early in the morning and ran. Later in my career, I got up really, really early to run because it was dark outside. Nobody could see me get started because the last couple years, my right knee started going. I mean, it's not gone. I've never had surgery, so I mean, it's good. But that first getting out of bed and running that first quarter mile looked like I was 100. But yeah, so that's what I did, and I didn't, we didn't have F3 back then. I had dumbbells, I had a bench press, a bench and some metal weights back. When I first started, you had the old concrete weights with the plastic around the outside.
Oh yeah, I had those in my garage. Yep, had them in my garage.
Yeah,
they crack when you drop them on the floor.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah. Because I got buried a couple times on the bench press, and I had to slide it off onto the concrete floor. Cracked my. Yeah. You can still use them, but there's a crack in them.
Exactly right.
I remember those.
I don't know anything about those.
No. I my dad had a set that I lifted with when I was a kid, and ironically, there's a set in my basement. My son bought like a bench and some weights a couple years ago, and he had some down in the basement that he uses just for doing some curls and some benching and stuff like that. So yeah,
he has
I know what you're talking about.
Weights?
I'm older than I look. I know I look like I'm only like 25, but
what? You're 51, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still young.
Yep. Paul's got some of the old school weights downstairs.
But you probably didn't have a boom box. I had a boom box.
I had a boom box. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So for those who
carry
don't
that baby up here on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
I walked in every morning.
Cassette tape.
Cassette player.
Yeah.
You're really old if you had a boombox that had an 8-track player in it.
I didn't have a boombox with 8-track, but I had 8-track in my car.
I had 8-track in my car too. I had to get the converter. You get the cassette plate and put it in the converter. That ate up a lot of my cassette tapes. I can tell you.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
My boombox went to multiple beaches and floated off in the ocean once. We were sitting in Ocean City, Maryland, sitting down by the water. Now the water wasn't touching us, and I got my boombox there playing with my boys, and we're having a good time on the beach. And some big wave came, knocked us off our chairs, and I hear the music getting more and more faint and moving away. I look out, there goes my boombox floating away in the Atlantic Ocean. Never stopped playing. I went out and got it, pulled it back. You'd never find something like that today, man. It was floating in the ocean playing music dial-up.
I saw a post that said, we're not cranky because we're old at this age. We're cranky because we had to replace our 8-track collection with the cassettes. And our cassettes with CDs, and then CDs with MP3s, and then ultimately now we probably all use
tapes you made. You couldn't use
my
it
goodness!
anymore.
How many hours did we waste in our life just sitting around
my Lord.
Listen to the top 40, so you could record the song that you wanted, and then the freaking DJ would talk halfway through the song and just blow the whole thing,
Mess
right?
it all up.
So yeah.
Well, that was a day well spent, though, sitting listening to the radio, waiting for your song to come on and push record.
Kids don't know the pain.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and the suffering that we went through.
All right, so Tigger, you refereed games with some of the greatest players.
Absolutely.
And I've ever played. Yeah, and coaches. I was going to ask both, but first I'll start with the players. Like, first of all, have you ever gotten caught up watching some guy because he's just so good, and like, oh my gosh, I got to pay attention to the game? I mean, that would happen to me. That's why I asked that. I'm like, wow, I'm watching Allen Iverson. He wasn't in the ACC, but whoever, right?
It was in the Big East.
Yeah.
I mean, I had Grant Hill, Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, Vince Carter, Rasheed Wallace. You had, it was, you're going to get caught watching them, absolutely. But I mean, you still have a job to do. So you
Yeah.
get caught up watching them and then see if they get found. We'll see if they found somebody. But I mean, it was, players that came through that league. I refereed in the Big East as well. So, I mean, you refereed in multiple leagues, and, the runs that UVA had, back in 19, I have a nephew that was actually a walk-on for the Virginia 2019 team that won national.
Oh, they had a great defense, right?
They did, yeah.
They had a really good Kyle guy, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter. Jack Salt was on that team. I mean, they had a really good team. And
did they upset somebody in the ACC tournament really, really bad? Like, wasn't somebody like Duke or somebody really favored and they beat them? Or I can't remember.
I don't know who all they beat.
I'm probably getting my years mixed up
in the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was fun.
How about the coaching staff? Like Dial-Up said, I mean, you must have
Dean Smith
met some of the best coaches ever.
Yeah, Kay.
Yeah.
Dave Odom. Rick Barnes. Oliver Purnell. Danny Manning. I mean, you can go right down the list. Sidney Lowe was at NC State. Roy Williams at Carolina. After
did
Dean
you ref
Bill
when
Guthrie.
Dean?
Yes.
When he was coaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first started, he was there. Then Bill
What
Guthrie came in, Matt Doherty, and then Roy.
What kind of relationships do you end up having with the coaches? Like, there's got to at least be some
Depends on the night.
respectful friendships that you develop over the years, right?
There is. I mean, we see each other off the floor, and everything's good, but in the heat of the moment, but you have a lot of conversations, a lot more conversations with referees and coaches during a game than the fans can see. I mean, it's but off the floor, we see each other at camps in the summertime. We see each other at events. I've got to go to we call it tip off, our media days. Next week, I'll see all the coaches that we have now. So I mean, it's Rick Pitino was a big talker. We talked a lot on the court. John Calipari back when he was at UMass, and then Kentucky, and I mean, there's great coaches that are in college basketball now that you can't. But it's a different it's a different game. It's a different I mean, it's a different everything. That there's no way. I tell them all the time, I would never trade jobs with you. They got kids 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the Duke North Carolina game like?
Oh, it's tremendous. It lives up to the hype. I worked it multiple times. Fortunately, both regular season, at both places. But I had the a couple of last second shots, and the Rivers 3-point shot to beat Carolina at Carolina, and Chris Duhon went the length of the floor at Carolina, made a layup. Thank goodness, because I had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. If he hadn't have made it, I had to go to overtime. Little things like that.
You could probably affect the outcome of that. I got to pee.
Exactly. Time out. Circle up. Give me a cup. But no, it was a lot of fun to work. The atmosphere is amazing at both places. And, like I said, I think Jay Billis says it the best. It never disappoints.
Yeah. That's on my bucket list to go to. I'm a Tar Heel fan, but I can't imagine being at Cameron Indoor Stadium for one of those games. That's a bucket list trip of mine to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Just remember, bucket list. What are you going to do when you check everything off? You gone?
Make another one.
He'll add to
it. Always add.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you. So I know neither coach or referee would ever make any like public statements.
Correct.
Of, man, I blew that call, or man, I screwed that up. But do you have those kinds of relationships though with like coaches where you would say something like, hey, I had a chance to review it. I'm sorry, I blew that
100%.
And
it happens a lot more than you know.
And coaches probably apologizing to you for giving you a hard time whenever you
got on what kind of mood they're in too.
They later see that you had the call right? Like, hey, I'm sorry, man, I gave you a hard time, and man, you were right, I was wrong.
Yeah, they usually tell you the next time they see you. They don't usually tell you that night. But the technology that we have now, our guys go look at plays in the locker room at halftime. So they go in there, they look at them, and you figure out whether or not they got them right. And we'll come out. I mean, I've said it during live. When I was coming up, we didn't have all the replay that you have now. So I'd go to them and say, you know what, you might be right. I might have missed that one. And then they either say, okay, thanks, or ain't no might to it. You definitely missed that one.
All right. So now you make me think of another question. So if you had a chance to review your calls at halftime, and I missed that one, or maybe I missed those two, is there such a thing As a
no
makeup call.
No,
No makeup calls.
heck no, because then you're 0 for 2. Never want. You get graded on every whistle, so you don't want the grade to go too far down. When you missed one,
you don't want to compound. You don't want to compound your mistakes.
80%'s bad. 80%'s not good.
The referees now report to you, right? You're the guy that
they do. I have there's so many, and I'm not an analytic guy at all, unless I need it. I turn to analytics. A lot of people use analytics to get through their day. I use analytics when I need to discipline somebody or talk to somebody. The league gives me so many tools to use that I take advantage of when I need to, and it's nuts. These guys get graded. They might get graded for 30 games and come out being 93% right when they blow the whistle. It's crazy.
That's what I was going to ask. So in that grading process, what is considered, a referee not meeting the standard? What
under 80%, under 80 and unders. You have to be in the 80s. A lot of the guys that you see, we have some of the best referees, and all 11 referees that worked last year. The last couple of years have refereed basketball games in the ACC. We have Roger Ayers, we have Ron Groover, who were grayed out, like 94%. Ted Valentine, who's been around a long time, he grades out unbelievably high. And they mentor the younger guys because, I get on younger guys because, like I said, I use analytics when I need them.
Yep.
I'll tell them these are the plays you're missing because it tells you what plays they get right, what plays they get wrong, what type of plays, everything, what their percentages are and everything. So, it's crazy what I get, but it makes them all better. It makes them all. But, if you're 80%, you're way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. Statistics are great.
Some people are going to be watching this podcast saying, well, I can tell you a whole bunch of people that are under 80%.
I didn't say that, sir.
Fib's probably sitting here thinking he just don't want to say it out loud.
Oh, he's thinking I can argue 20% of the time that you blew the call, and he's going to be right.
I still think that's a walk, by the way. But anyway,
Send him the clip. Send him the clip.
Right.
Yeah,
let him review it.
I only refereed,
upper
rec
basketball
games.
Yeah, exactly.
Youth rec league. No, it was older than that, but like 7th grade, that kind of stuff. And even that's hard,
That's hard.
And because you got, you get
a whole lot of traveling in that.
There's a whole lot of traveling, and if you blow the whistle every time, I think there's some judgment when they're young, right?
Right, correct.
If you blow the whistle for every walk and every violation, the game would just constantly be stopping.
100%.
So at some point you get, use a little judgment. But those kids too, especially, they turn the ball over, they turn the ball over, they turn the ball over. So you run up and down the court. Obviously you're a professional. I'm just saying, I get it. It's hard to be in the right spot all the time.
It's hard, but it's
Is that what makes the
Some
best
of these guys make it
referees?
look easy. Yeah, they make it look easy.
Is that what separates the guys that are 94, 95% in the right spot?
Yeah, they're some of these guys they're in tremendous shape. Number one, there's a lot of guys out there that they care. They don't want their butt covering half the TV screen. If they're standing on that side of the floor. So they're in tremendous shape. They get to where they're supposed to be, and it makes the game a whole lot easier because you can slow the game down.
Yeah.
So I said, I got guys that make this stuff look easy.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I don't know his name, but there's a guy that referees that he high steps it. I love. He runs with super high knees as he's sprinting down the court. I always get crack up whenever he's refereeing.
Yeah.
So how does it work when you get to the tournament, especially the Final Four? Because correct me if I'm wrong. Don't you guys usually referee as teams throughout the season? Then you get to the Final Four.
We split them all up. I put, Roger Ayers might be with this guy one night, and the next night the guys with Ron Groover or Teddy or Bert Smith or somebody like that. And then when you get to the NCAA tournament, they fly people in from all over the place. Now I've got to have people live in California because we have Cal and Stanford, and SMU now in the ACC. So I have people now that live out there, but come tournament time, they just fly them in from it. You get a phone call. Basically what happens is you get a phone call on Sunday night before the tournament starts. They tell you you're in the tournament. You get an email first, then they call you that night and say, okay, you're in the tournament. You're going to San Jose, or you're going to Oakland, or you're going to Boise, Idaho.
Right.
And you show up and you get graded every game. You know, if you really screw up, then you get sent home after, you know, that one game, and then you just move on.
Yeah.
Do you just are you just assigned game by game, or for like the tournament, do you get assigned a region and you're going to at least go and cover all the first and second round games of the region?
I usually go to first and second round at one of the opening spots.
Okay.
You know, so last year, I think I was in Charlotte. This year, you know, Raleigh's a thing. I could be there. Greensboro was a couple years ago.
And do you cover multiple games in a day, or do they still just 4. One game a day?
No, I would cover all 4.
All 4
games.
One
day and 2 the next. Yep.
Okay.
That's why your knee hurts.
No, I'm just sitting there watching them. They're only refereeing one game. The referees that come only referee one game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're only refereeing one game.
One game a day.
A day. Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Because mentally, I would think that would get exhausting.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah. Like you just start to lose. It's hard to stay focused for that long in a day to be doing multiple games. Okay, I was curious about that.
Yeah. Now, when you were going through all these years as a referee, did you have were you able to develop some close male friendships, like really close male friendships? Because it seems like you're traveling a lot, and that's one of the things that we talk about F3. One of the things we can cure for guys is this feeling of kind of being a lone ranger out there.
It's a incredible bond. One of the guys that started with me, a guy named Ramey Steins. He was probably my best friend on this earth. When we started together, he got an ACC a year before me. He was coaching the Greenville, North Carolina Little League team, and they played in the Southeast region out in Georgia to see who went to the Little League World Series. Florida, actually, who won the Little League World Series, was in their tournament, and he's flying home. 66 years old, has a heart attack on the plane.
Oh.
And gone. I mean, he just went into cardiac arrest. And the referee community was unbelievable when that happened. You know, I got home. I was home. I was with my wife. We were out and got a phone call from his son, you know, like an hour after they pronounced him dead. Went down there, and the referees that came down, I mean, it's because you have to understand, you travel, you stay in your own room, don't get me wrong. You work out together, you eat together, you go to the game together. The next night you have, you know, 2 nights later you have 2 other guys that you're with. But, you know, we only have, you know, there's not that many referees that you're going to get, you know, only a certain amount of people referee conference games, especially in our league. Right. So, I mean, you're around each other all the time. The referees' bond is amazing. You know, it's like the players. You know, we meet, we have group texts. I mean, we'll all be in Philadelphia here tomorrow, but it's as strong as it gets.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Well, that's good because most guys don't have that. If you could believe the statistics out there, that most guys don't have that kind of thing, and F3 can provide that. And you know, especially after you get out of school, you know, especially the guys who played sports, they had that kind of team mentality, the community. You work doing hard things together, and all of a sudden you graduate, you go out, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and you don't have that. So.
Split up, you don't mean it. But basketball brought us all together. You know, everybody's from different regions. I have you know, referees that are real estate agents, school teachers, scouts for the Major League Baseball team, insurance agents. I have pretty much. I mean, some people just referee, and you know, it's amazing how they come together. Now everybody has a different ego as well. So
sure. Yeah. Well, now, except for getting clocked from behind in the very first game you ever refereed, do you have any other crazy stories?
There's great conversations with coaches. You know, like I said, I worked the Austin Rivers game, which was one of the greatest college basketball games I was ever a part of. It got really loud, went from really loud to really quiet, you know, in the Dean Dome. You know, I can remember Coach in the Final Four, Duke was getting beat really bad early, and Coach K wanted to know what was going on. And we had a little heart-to-heart, and I probably said something about just go in the huddle, coach your team, and get them moving. And next thing you know, he goes on like a 21-2 run, and you know the game's over with. That's how good these guys are. You know, Gary Williams was a character all the time. You know, on the sidelines.
Maryland coach.
He was tremendous. You know, he ran up and down the sidelines yelling and screaming, and got little foam around his mouth every now and then, so you know he was having a good time. You had great conversations with players. You know, when you referee the players that have come through this league, I mean, it's you got things that you don't forget, and half the stuff that happens in a game, there's a lot of trash talking going on out there. I can tell you that. That if you only sit courtside, you can hear them. But
has that increased over the last 30 years or so?
No, it's always been the same.
It's always been there.
It has always been there, and
I watch a lot of TikTok videos about Larry Bird's trash talking.
Exactly right. I have a great picture of my dad breaking up a fight between Larry Bird and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That'd be awesome.
That just got flipped. My dad was in that game. I have a great picture of Jordan dunking over Magic, and my dad, he says they took the picture of him, but taking in Jordan going up the dunk. Yeah. So now all that stuff is going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes the words change, but the trash talk is still out there.
Well, back then when the Celtics Lakers rivalry, I remember what happened. The Celtics were considered the physical team, and the Lakers were the soft team.
Correct.
The Lakers took exception after the prior game that they got beat, and they just came out and tried to send a message. And yeah.
It was not.
Didn't they get back at McHale that series? I think they took McHale out or something.
Yeah, they took him out. If you watch that thing, it was the Celtics and Lakers. It was like a 30 for 30 on ESPN. It was
right.
Tremendous.
That was really good. Yeah.
And Dad had all the. The bad boys, the Detroit Pistons.
I was going to say, then the Pistons came along. Then things got real physical, right?
It got crazy. It got real. Remember Robert Parrish hit Lambeer from behind, punched him three. My dad was in that game, called it a common foul. Didn't call it. Wasn't a flagrant. Didn't throw him out. None of that stuff. So
that's when men were men.
Exactly. A different world back then. Exactly right.
Oh, it was. It was, yeah. They had the Jordan rules, right? They just beat him the heck out when he came in the lane.
Hey, here we go again. There we go. Back to this.
No, I'm saying they did foul him then. They
did?
Oh well, they were literally taking him out when he's coming down the lane. But they had the Jordan
used to say
rules,
Tyler Hansbrough got fouled all the time, and man led the country in free throws. Him and the late great Eric Montrose, they both led the country in free throws, and y'all said we didn't call enough. So you just sit back and laugh.
All right, D-Fib, we're going to get you signed up for the PIAA officiating course, and you and Ken, you can go officiate with Ken Williams.
Well, dial up. Of the three guys here, for people who are watching the video, I'm the only guy wearing glasses, so
it's okay.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Might want to get some contacts. Yeah. And then they won't know. Just don't get colored contacts, so your eyes are light blue or something.
Right, yeah. Referee needs glasses.
That's right. He's already got them.
Yeah, that's right. Who was the best shooter that you ever saw? That's a tough question. I know.
Probably J.J. Redick. J.J. was on Rio. I mean, he could absolutely. I mean, it was crazy the shots he would make. Grant Hill, could shoot the ball. Grant Hill could play make big time, and Austin Rivers, who also played at Duke, was a great shooter.
Mm-hmm. He didn't.
Kyle Guy at Virginia was an unbelievable shooter. He made the shot in the NCAA semifinals. He made the 3 free throws to put him there.
I remember that.
He could absolutely shoot the ball. So,
now the game has changed, right? I mean, the 3-point line came in right after I graduated from high school. They put it in high school in Pennsylvania, but it was I think it entered college in the early 80s. But even though they had the 3-point line, aren't people taking a lot more 3-point shots now than they did 20 years ago, 30 years
ago? Games, paint touches, and 3-point shots now. If you get in the paint, you can throw it to somebody down low, throw it. If not, send it out, let them shoot a 3. These kids can shoot. Telling these kids can.
Oh, it's crazy
to watch them. 6'7", 6'8", shooting threes.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I didn't, if I shot as many threes as I do now, I'd be on the bench. My coach
Clemson's got a kid 7 foot tall out there shooting threes. Shefflin.
Yeah.
DJ Hall last year for Clemson.
Right.
Brad Brownell keeps them out there, and they all shoot the ball. He does an unbelievable job coaching his team.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I don't personally. I think that the at least in the NBA, probably the college too, they like it because they like a lot of scoring. That's exciting. The fans like it. They probably get more viewers that way. I'm probably just an old crusty old guy, but I'd rather see a change. So Yeah, because the post-up
There's a lot
play,
in basketball
yeah.
you'd like to see change.
That's right.
As we've
No,
been
I don't want
through
to
this.
change it.
He's
I
like
just want
airing
you
his
to-
grievances
gonna-
on this
I'm gonna-
podcast.
I think
Follow the
I'll
rules.
send you the NCAA guys' contact info, and then y'all can collaborate. 'cause
I
next
give.
year,
Oh my gosh! If
next
he would
year's
just
a
listen
rule
to me.
change year.
Yeah. All right.
Next year's a rule change year, so start making
Yeah.
your list and let me know what you have.
Well, we just make
Can only shoot
three-pointers.
5 3-pointers a half.
Right.
No. Three-pointers only count in the last 2 minutes.
Oh,
How about
good.
that?
Yeah.
That's a good one, right?
Let me
Let's
know
go
what
with the-
happens when you have a team's got all those shooters. They don't make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know
Let's
how
go
that
with the
works.
4-point circle.
Yeah, there you go.
That
There
they
you
have,
go.
right? In the All-Star
Yeah,
games, stuff like
that's
that.
Nah. Now you're getting crazy. Don't get me started on carrying the ball either.
Raise
Don't
the
get me
hoops,
started on that.
right?
Steph Curry
Raise the
shoots it
hoops.
pretty good, doesn't he? Steph Curry does all right. He shoots the
not
ball
bad.
pretty well. Out of
Yeah.
Davidson College, and
Well, yeah, that guy's
Yeah.
one of. Well, he's
Blake
probably
Norman.
the best ever, right?
I'm
He's
telling you
phenomenal
right
to
now.
watch those the
He's
warm-up
But
videos of him.
and I mean, I wouldn't. If he's not the best ever, he's one of the best ever. But if you look at back in the the 80s, there's some guys that could really shoot. They just didn't take that many 3-point shots
Correct,
back then.
correct. Yeah.
Right? I mean, Bird and his father, Del Curry, man, he could shoot.
He could absolutely shoot at
And
Virginia Tech.
yeah, the rifleman. I mean, they had Glenn. What's his name? Anyway, a lot of good shooters back then. They
Okay.
just didn't take as many 3-pointers.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, I'm standing up for the 80s, man. All those guys from the 80s. Come on.
Yeah. B-52s, Devo.
Did you say the B-52s?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome because we just
Yeah.
mentioned the B-52s today. We had an FNG, and we're trying to name him, and he said he likes to read books. I said, what kind of books? He said, history books. I said, do you have a favorite period of history? He said, World War II was one of the things he said. I threw out there D-Day, Blitzkrieg. One of the other guys said Flying Fortress. I said, what plane was that? That was a B-52. And Dial-Up goes, Love Shack. So
There you go.
he's named
Y'all
Love
stuck him
Shack.
with that. Y'all stuck him with
That's
that.
right. That's
Wow.
right.
Wow.
I think that was a good name. I
Yeah.
think I did good with that one.
You did good.
Yeah.
It's a good name. It's a better story how we got there, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was meant to be. See, B-52s were mentioned again.
That's right.
All right. Now we have 2 questions we ask everybody at the end, but I got about 2 more before I do that. So that adds up to 4. Dial-Up, you got any questions before?
No, I've been
Anybody
asking
quick?
mine. I'm anxious to hear what yours are, though.
All right. So the first thing is, and this is obviously subjective, but since you are a referee, and you're certainly more qualified to answer this than we are. Who is the best basketball player ever?
Oh, jeez.
Who's the GOAT?
Are we talking
man.
like at college, like best college player ever, or all the way to the
I
NBA?
mean, I think you have.
GOAT,
All right.
all time.
Wow. Best of all time. I mean, I don't think you can name one. I think, you have different eras. Jordan changed his time. Allen Iverson changed, the game for guards. I mean, if you sit back
Yeah.
and think about it, the kids from Hakeem Olajuwon, when he came out of Houston, changed the big man game. Went
Yep.
from a finesse game to a power game. Charles Barkley changed the
Oh, yeah.
small forward game because he just run over people going to the basket. and I think Grant Hill changed the game a lot. The college game. There's great college players that sometimes don't make it in the league that changed our game. Tyler Hansborough changed the way we refereed, basketball when he was playing. JJ, of course, at Duke just kind of opened up. I mean, you can go down the list. Damon Stoudemire, when he played out of Arizona was crazy.
I think he won a
Good.
national championship, right?
Yeah. So,
Well, yeah, but who's the GOAT? Who's the best ever?
I mean, the logos, they say the logo's Jerry West.
The logo. Yeah.
The logo
All
was
right.
Jerry West, and also, the only guy that's got his logo on his shoe was Jordan.
Right.
So I mean, I think those things speak highly of both of them. Larry Bird
Well,
wasn't
that-
bad either, though, from French Lick,
Yep.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Boy, it seems like we're missing a name that I didn't hear mentioned.
Who's that?
LeBron.
Which one?
LeBron.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still playing. You can't be the GOAT if you're still playing.
Okay. All
I
right.
think you gotta.
Wait,
We
You
didn't
got-
mention
wait
Kobe.
out.
We didn't talk
You
about
know-
Kobe either, I guess.
Now,
but
are
Yeah,
referees
Kobe
like
was-
politicians? That's a very good answer.
yeah,
I'm not
Iverson was
giving one.
Iverson was a good
Iverson
name.
was-
Though.
I know,
That's
I
one
know
you
it
don't
is.
hear Iverson's name mentioned very often.
Iverson is so underrated. That guy
Yeah.
was great. I think
Changed
he's
the game
top
for guards.
10 all time.
You
Yeah.
think about it, he changed the game for guards.
Yep.
Big time.
You know who my GOAT is, Dial-Up?
Who is it?
Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, he was good.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
You know, people say it was the time and then didn't get enough champions. He has 2 championships, not enough championships. The guy averaged 50 points a game one year. In that same year, he averaged like 27 rebounds a game.
He had
101 game. And they said he didn't pass enough, so the next year he decided to lead. He led the league in assists.
Yep.
And DFib, I imagine you know this, but you know where he had his 100-point game, right?
Hershey
Park
PA.
Arena. The old Hershey Park Arena.
Yeah.
No video, just a picture of him holding a little sign with
I was going to say,
100.
used to be a little plaque out in front of the building, which was pretty cool to see, knowing the history of what happened in that building.
You know, he ran a 4.40.
Oh, wow.
And he was a high jump champ at Kansas, I think, right?
Yeah,
He was a high jump champ.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Guy could really run.
Yep.
Of course, it only took him 3 strides to get down the court.
Exactly.
All right. I forgot my other question, so I guess I'll just go with the last two. So, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, I know my other question is, forgive me. This is an important one, too, because, F3's mission is to invigorate male community leadership. I know you haven't been part of F3 for a really long time.
Correct.
But how do you see that playing out? I mean, and especially in your life. I mean, you're still in a leadership position right now, right, as a commissioner of referees. Has F3 impacted you at all in that way?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's, I run a leadership meeting with 38 referees, so 35 to 40 referees every summer that all referee for me. And they all know that, they all ask, did you carry cinder block today? Or, did you have to bear crawl anywhere? So they all know. And I just think that positivity is real. And I don't know if you realize it until you get around a group that come out there, because if you come out tired and not feeling like you want to do it, by the time you get done, you want to be out there. And I think I think it makes a positive impact to have that type of attitude. Event, every morning, if you could have that, if everybody could have that every day at 6:15 in the morning, I think it would be pretty special. But I think that's one of the things that it has given me is, you don't know what other people are carrying, number one. So there's no need to get on a bunch of people about stuff you don't know anything about. And then just positivity. And I mean, I don't think there's people out that come out there that can barely do anything, but they're still out there busting their butt and keeping up and all. That's how, a lot of times, sometimes I feel like I'm, like I said earlier, I told him I was going to rename myself Sick. And Marvel would say, don't forget to pick the 6 up. I told Marvel, I just change my name, because Marvel's the one that came up with Tigger, when they first made it up. But, I think that you leave there a whole lot better. The leave no man behind is real. And a lot of people don't realize it. And I didn't realize it. For the first month, I thought it was just a workout. As long as you stay in it, you see that it's not. My son is, Piglets loves it. I mean, he's jacked but it has helped him. I have 2 granddaughters that are both his that he just he loves them to death. They love him. They're the 2 greatest. If I'd have had those 2, I'd probably never had Piglet. We probably would have never heard of Piglet. I just had those 2 grandkids. But I don't think it's possible to have. But no, I think that's what comes out of it. And I think it just makes you keep going. Makes you, 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't want to get up a lot of times. There's a lot of people sleeping at 4 o'clock. A lot of people in my neighborhood sleeping when I'm going up in the dark road to go up there. But once you get there, you know why you're there.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Well said.
Yeah, so true. Your point of you start going for the workout, and we talked about the whole magnet, glue, dynamite, right? But you're so right. You start going for the workouts, but in time you realize you're going for something way beyond the workouts, right?
Yeah,
it's the workouts. It's just the thing that you do while you're together, but it's that fellowship and the brotherhood.
And like I said, I'm fortunate to have some of the really, really good guys that push me every single day. And when I go up there, I ruck on Mondays. I go to beat downs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And, you're rucking with people you don't even know. And by the time you get done, they feel like you've known them your whole life.
Best friends,
5 minutes, I mean, it's great. It's great.
Yep. All right. Well, the last 2 questions. The first one is, if you had to pick somebody, it could be somebody from the distant past, somebody could be anybody, that you say it was an inspiration to you, a hero, that kind of thing, who would you pick?
I mean, first one would be my grandfather. It was my dad's dad, just because he took me everywhere. I mean, he was so proud of his son. You know, my dad, that, you know, that's all he talked about. He wanted to be around people to tell him about him. But I mean, he showed me what it was like to give, and to give without wanting anything back. And he passed that on to my dad, and my dad had his faults, but you know, he learned from his dad. And now it's third generation. I try to pass that on to Piglet and get it. But, you know, he always, you know, my grandfather always said, let's go. Don't stop moping. Get up. We're going to do this. He used to feed me raw oysters out of a mason jar. And he said, this is good for you. Put hair on your chest and all that other stuff. You know, but he taught me that you got to move forward. You just got to keep moving forward. He did. I mean, he fought cancer for a long time. I mean, my grandfather was told he was going to die quick. They did a radio show on him, TV show here, local TV did a thing on him, you know, when he was in the hospital. And they started out by saying, Copper Kersey's dying of cancer. That's how it started. Now, I didn't care for that at all, but he fought right through it to the end. And, you know, you see somebody fight like that, it changes your world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good
inspiring.
answer, man. Last question is, and you kind of already did this, but I'll give you another opportunity to say this. This is your chance to speak to the men of America. What's your message for the men of America?
My message to everybody is hang out, get to know somebody. Don't worry about, you know, where they're from or what they look like, or just get out there and mingle. It doesn't matter if you're 61 and they're 35. You know, it doesn't matter if they do 20 Merkins and you do 5.
Yeah.
You know, that learning that you don't leave anybody behind is real. You just have to give it the opportunity. And if you give it that opportunity, not just coming out here and doing the workouts or anything like that, you know, the Permantes, the Marvels, the Ultra who ran with Piglet also, Funny Car, all the people that are up here, you know, busting my butt every Tuesday and Thursday, they're real people that have real lives. And if you just get to know somebody that you didn't know before, you're going to learn something from them. And I think we take other people for granted by not trying to learn from other people. But you end up having conversations you never thought you'd have with somebody you didn't know a week ago.
Yeah.
And I just think people have to give things opportunities and let things play out. And I think that, you know, last man standing, it's going to be crowded. And I think that's the way that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Good. Well said. I'm glad to have gotten to know you, brother.
Oh, thank you.
And we will look forward to seeing what you do in the future. We got Hot Squat's already joining us. He's our next guest. But,
yeah, how that
hang in
happened?
there,
I
Hot
didn't think
Squat.
you'd be
We're
able
not
to
ready
join.
yet.
Yeah, I
We're
wonder if I
finishing up
sent him the wrong link.
Yeah, I don't know. Dial-up was in charge of this. We got 2 guests at the same time now.
Well, good.
But we're just finishing up. So anyway, Tigger, thank you so much
Thank you
for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for what you do. Seriously.
Yeah.
Never take it for granted.
Thank
Don't
you.
stop.
It's a
We
blessing
don't.
for us.
We're blessed.
Keep
Yeah,
digging.
we're blessed
Keep
to do
digging.
this.
Keep digging.
Yeah, and if you know of any other guys to recommend to us, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
let
you
us
so
know.
much for having me.
Yeah, I hope to someday to get to meet you, brother.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great
I gotta-
day.
All
I
right,
got to
you
convince
too.
you that was a walk.
Thank you. Thanks.
Send him the clip, man.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I would like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their story of becoming a high-impact man. More information and resources can be found at highimpactman.com. If you like this podcast, please consider following us on our social media pages or email us at him@highimpactman.com. That is HIM@highimpactman.com. The High Impact Man podcast has a new episode every week, and you can find them on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast platforms. Have a great week, everyone.